Welcome into Vandy on SI. I'm Joey Dwyer. He's Graham Bacco. We're here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Graham, Vanderbilt football makes a statement. 31-7 win over South Carolina. One of its better wins under Clark Lee. I would argue its second best win behind the Alabama win. And I think this one is different from that one. That one told you Vanderbilt's here as a program and it's not a joke anymore. This one told you, man, they might not be full of crap when they say they think they can make the playoff and they can do things that this program has never done before. Man, what a win over a top 15 team on the road in front of a sold-out stadium. By the end of the night, this place was empty and Vanderbilt was swag surfing in the visitors' locker room. Graham, what a night for Vanderbilt football.
Unbelievable, really. I mean, I really can't believe the domination that Vanderbilt showed, quite frankly. And, we'll talk about the Lenore Stellar stuff and all that, but Vanderbilt's for real, guys. Like, this team is going to be ranked, you would have to expect, going into tomorrow's AP poll. Like you said, second best win under Clark Lee, you'd have to argue. The streak is over. The streak is over. Vanderbilt has not beaten South Carolina since 2008, and it has finally happened here in 2025, 31-7. Just the game was never in question. The result was never in question. Any time that South Carolina seemed to get a little bit of momentum their way, Vanderbilt, their defense just came up with a huge stop on third down, fourth down, what have you. Just domination, really.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned the streak. I think that's a huge story tonight.
Yep.
And I think it's almost a microcosm of this team and what we've noticed with this team. Every Vanderbilt football team since 2008 has been defined by everybody comes in, and it's almost a rite of passage to lose to South Carolina 4 times in a row if you stay 4 years. If you stay 3 years, you lose to South Carolina 3 years in a row. If you stay 5 years, you lose to South Carolina 5 years in a row. A lot of these guys have had teammates that have done it. Marlon Sewell comes to mind. We talked to him on Tuesday. Think about it. C.J. Taylor came in. He was a fantastic player for Vanderbilt. Ricky Wright had a great Vanderbilt career. Neither of them really got all that close to beating South Carolina. They did it once. Or they got close once, and that was it. Jordan Matthews can say he's the greatest wide receiver in Vanderbilt football history, and people won't laugh at him.
Right.
He can't say he's beat South Carolina.
Right.
Warren Burks says, I'm a Super Bowl champion. Can he say he beat South Carolina?
Nope.
He can't.
He cannot.
Clark Lee was 0-7 against South Carolina coming into tonight with 4 losses as a coach, 3 losses as a player. And, man, I think that says something about this team to where it's not confined to its past. The past does not define this team. And you almost get a sliver of here we go again when Diego Pavia throws the interception and South Carolina's driving a little bit. And then you remember, like, this isn't the Vanderbilt of old that allows the game to get out of hand from that point. And it honestly was the opposite from that point where Vanderbilt starts to find itself after that and really blows the game open and takes the life out of South Carolina and this place after that. I think that's a big deal. Not only that they were able to end the streak, and I think it's a great thing for Clark Lee to be able to do it for Bobby Johnson. Who, Clark actually said I think he's having some issues, so we wish Bobby Johnson well. But man, I just think you look at this team and you say this Vanderbilt team is a lot different than every other team since 2008, and even the 2024 version of itself. That South Carolina game felt like the same old Vanderbilt in a lot of ways. Tonight certainly did not.
No, this is not the same old Vanderbilt. This is brand new Vanderbilt, no question about it. Top 15 win, close to top. I mean, number 11, close to top 10 win, and SEC opener, 1-0 in the SEC now this season. And like you said, these moments where Pavia throws the interception and all of a sudden South Carolina's got the ball, they could go make it a 1-score game if they go down, score a touchdown, and they don't. They go. I can't remember if it was a 3-and-out or they got stopped pretty shortly afterward. But Vanderbilt just time after time shut down any momentum very quickly at that too, whether it's 3-and-out or maybe South Carolina get 1 first down and then a 3-and-out. So Vanderbilt, this did not happen before in years past. Vanderbilt would let these games type of sort of slip away, just go out of control. Not tonight. No, tonight they, like you said, they squashed any momentum that South Carolina ever had a chance of getting, and they just returned it with points for their own and just kept on extending the lead. And just, I mean, the exits emptied pretty quickly, actually. I mean, just a couple minutes into the fourth quarter, people started leaving, which is pretty similar to last week at Virginia Tech. I mean, back-to-back weeks where you're able to go into hostile environments, really tough environments like Lane Stadium, Williams-Brice Stadium. They're no joke. Like these are not easy places to get victories at, and yet Vanderbilt has managed to get fans to leave quite early in back-to-back weeks. Unbelievable, really.
Yeah, we talked about last week being one of the more dominant halves of Vanderbilt football. Remember, I think this second half's got to be up there too.
Yeah.
Obviously, it comes with the caveat of Lenore Sellers, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, is out of the game. Obviously, that makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
There's no world in which we can spin it and say Lenore Sellers didn't have an impact on this game when he left. I mean, that's one of the biggest storylines of the game. That's the biggest storyline from the South Carolina angle. But Graham, I don't think that Vanderbilt would have lost the game anyway. I mean, it's a 24-point difference. Lenore Sellers is amazing, right?
Right.
He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. 24 points is 24 points. And I don't know that one guy can change that. Obviously, South Carolina's offense really got out of hand there. Vanderbilt forced 4 turnovers for the first time since 2022 when it played Missouri and hung with Missouri when it was far less talented. Those are the things that build in margin, though, where you're able to turn a team over 4 times. And Clark mentioned it, like, that frees you up to make some mistakes yourself. Diego Pavia threw the interception in the end zone. We're not talking about that interception as if it was a game changer or anything that really prohibited Vanderbilt from winning this game. Even I look at the play before that as maybe a more significant play where it's, again, that's almost a microcosm of the game where they get way behind the sticks. 2 penalties, finds Eli Stowers for, what was it, a 15, 20-yard gain to pick up the first down on 3rd down. I mean, that's a big deal. And I almost thought that play in itself, and I might have written a story on this if not for the interception, so Diego kind of screwed my plans up there. But I just think that play was such a different play than Vanderbilt has had because those 2 penalties in the past, you feel like, oh, going to get sacked on 3rd down and get out of field goal range, and the whole thing blows up. Instead, Vanderbilt keeps its composure, strong chin, short memory, as Lipscomb coach, former Lipscomb coach Lenny Acuff would say, gets the 3rd down conversion, and really acts like nothing had happened there. I think they're talented enough to do that, but bigger than that, I think their mentality is a lot different, and I think that's why things like this are starting to happen for this program, and it happens so decisively because they believe they can come in here and do something like that.
And you can see the culture change, the attitude change in this Vanderbilt team where, you mentioned the mentality. They know that one mistake is not going to define the game, and they know that they can bounce back from those mistakes, and they have been able to. They've proven, an interception, maybe years past that can spiral a game out of control. Games like tonight, it's really not a sweat, really. It did not affect the game in any way whatsoever, really. It just really took away more possible points that could have made this blowout even more of a blowout, is all it did, really. But, when you talk about Lenore Sellers, I don't think South Carolina would have won this game even with Lenore Sellers. I mean, he wasn't really lighting the world on fire, really. I mean, South Carolina's offense with Lenore Sellers tonight sort of reminded me of South Carolina playing Virginia Tech, where they go right down the field, first possession of the game, and then afterward, the offense just sort of stalls out. And we saw that, I think, tonight, and we also saw Vanderbilt, give credit to the Vanderbilt defense in that aspect, where they're able to stop Lenore Sellers in that offense on 3rd down when need be. And I don't think Lenore Sellers would have made that big of a difference. And really, when Luke Doty came in the game, he sort of did make, Clark talked about this, he did make a little bit of plays here and there, with his legs, extending plays, and finding guys down the field on some time, on some plays. But I think this is much more of a credit to the Vanderbilt defense than it was to whether Lenore Sellers or whether Luke Doty was playing quarterback. Yeah, sure, maybe the game could have been closer if had Lenore Sellers been playing the whole game. Obviously, I'm not going to deny that had zero effect on the game, but the Vanderbilt defense deserves a lot of credit here.
Yeah, and I do think Lenore Sellers would have made a significant difference on the game. I think he's that talented. I think he's that dynamic. I also look at it and I say Charleston Southern was their first game, and everyone, including us, essentially said didn't learn a whole lot from that game, right? I think it was nice to see the intensity if you're a Vanderbilt fan, things along those lines. You look at last week, and a week later we're saying, man, Virginia Tech's a train wreck. Yeah. And maybe you try to discredit Vanderbilt that way. Tonight you look at Lenore Sellers getting hurt, and you can write it off as that. Graham, if they have done this time and time again, and you're still trying to justify why it can't happen, I think that reflects your posture about this Vanderbilt team more than this Vanderbilt team in actuality. I
Yeah,
think at some
for
point
sure.
there's got to be an acknowledgement of, hey, these guys are good.
Yeah.
These guys are a different Vanderbilt team. They're worthy of being in the AP top 25, which I think they unquestionably are.
Right.
They could go into Tuscaloosa 5-0 in a couple weeks. College game day could be in play here. I mean, this is a big deal, and I don't think it's fair to this Vanderbilt team to find every reason to discredit, because you can do that for every team at this stage, and it's certainly got reasons, right? Like Virginia Tech is not as good as I think we thought Virginia Tech was, or maybe Vanderbilt broke them. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know that I buy that, but at some point it's got to be like Vanderbilt is good, and it's not just a reflection of what its opponents have done or how its opponents were handicapped, I guess.
Yeah, haters gonna hate, you know, like there's going to be disrespect from people no matter what, and I still think some college football fans are gonna look, you know, maybe put an asterisk on these past two games, you know, maybe say, oh, Virginia Tech's actually not that great, or oh, you know, Lenore Sellers didn't play for half the game, so, you know, of course Vanderbilt won. Like
they won by 24
right,
points.
Exactly.
Games.
Yeah, like people are still going to come up with those sort of reasons, but this team just is different. I really believe that this team truly is different, and that they need to get more respect. And I'm very interested to see where Vanderbilt does land in the AP top 25, because you have to put them in the top 25. If you don't, I'd be stunned, quite frankly, if you don't. I mean, we saw South Florida beat Florida last week. They immediately jumped to 18. So Vanderbilt, expect them to be the top 25. Question is where. I mean, if they're, you know, I would, if I had to guess, I would say around 19, 20. So we'll see what happens. If just on a respect level, whether respect, disrespect, I really do think the rankings will be telling a lot on that part tomorrow.
For sure. Granted, some micro things here. We've talked a lot big picture. I think Tim Beck did a really nice job tonight. You mentioned earlier, 4 tight ends played on the first series.
Yeah.
Clark Lee mentioned how a lot of times you can get stuck in the depth chart and kind of just play your guys. And I thought Tim Beck did a really nice job mixing personnel tonight. We saw a lot of Tristan Brown. We saw some Caleb Barnett. James L. Lassiter had that 44-yard touchdown run. And I don't know if there was much of a scouting report on James L. Lassiter. It was almost a secret weapon. And even with that accounted for and kind of how they mixed up the personnel offensively, I thought they were still intentional about getting Eli Stowers involved. I thought they ran some stuff for Eli Stowers that could get him involved, especially second play of the game. They faked the jet sweep to Caleb Barnett. They've given it to Caleb Barnett every time, and it felt like Tim Beck was kind of thinking about that since Charleston Southern week. We talked to him early in the season, early after Charleston Southern, like, I wonder if he did put Caleb Barnett out there on those plays for a particular reason. I almost wonder if he had this in mind tonight, and maybe that's giving Tim Beck too much credit. He's a smart guy, but I don't know if he's that smart. But man, like, I thought they did a really nice job mixing the personnel, mixing the calls. And then defensively too, you got to give Steve Gregory credit for the play where Zaylen Wood got the interception. I thought was a huge turning point in the game.
It was.
South Carolina goes down, and if they score 2 times in a row and do it rather easily, I think that's a big difference in the game. Vanderbilt's defense really got off to a slow start, kind of got pushed around a little bit. Zaylen Wood, though, Steve Gregory drops him into coverage. He makes the play. It's his 3rd interception of his career, which is a stunning stat. I never would have guessed it was 3. But point being, I think Vanderbilt outcoached South Carolina in a lot of ways. And it wasn't just the average, Clark Lee had him ready to go and they were disciplined and things along those lines. I thought there was tangible evidence of Vanderbilt's coordinators making an impact on the game. We've been trying to escape the mowers.
Yeah, the mowers are crazy,
13
man.
minutes with no mowers.
Okay.
We're still dealing with it.
I know. Yeah, it's tough luck, I guess. Hopefully next week we won't have to deal with it.
Well, it's first, so
right. I guess that's a great point. It's late. Anyways, the Tim Beck, the offense. You know, I'll be honest. At first, Vanderbilt had a tough time running and creating holes, and I thought that could be an issue throughout the game. But this offensive line just seemed to wear down South Carolina's defensive line, and similar to last week, just create holes as the game goes on. You see, you know, more aggressiveness in the running game, and you got Pavia pitching it out. You got James at Lassiter finding holes. You got Alexander finding his holes. You know, the offense just. I really think the offensive line did another great job today with wearing the opponent down. And to do it against the number 11 team in the country at that, who's got a guy like Dylan Stewart on the other side, I mean, I think that is extremely impressive for Vanderbilt to do. And you talk about the defense as well. I mean, we're, right here is where Zaylen Wood got his interception, and it was a big difference. I think that was the first turning point in this game, where South Carolina is about to make it 14-14, and all of a sudden Zaylen Wood comes up with a huge interception, and just like that, the game just completely flipped. I felt like, where Vanderbilt had a lot of belief in their defense, and you could see it, and you could just sense that they had a lot of confidence and felt like, all right, we can stop these guys, and yeah, it just kind of changed from there.
Sure. I thought 3 big plays in the game. First of all, the screen to Sowers I thought was a huge deal, and it kind of showed that Vanderbilt could maybe get it going a little bit here and maybe get him involved a little more. I thought that was a big deal.
Yeah.
I think the Zaylen Wood play, to your point, was a huge turning point, where we're looking at it and saying, oh no, 14-7.
Yep.
Are they built to play from behind on the road? I don't know. Zaylen Wood makes that play. I think Steve Gregory, again, deserves a lot of credit. The third one, I think James Lassiter's run. It's a great story. We're going to talk about the story a lot over the next couple weeks, but that play was big.
Yeah.
They're going up 21-7, and you're maybe feeling like, man, that's the game. If Vanderbilt gets a stop here, and Vanderbilt did, Brock Taylor hits the 51-yarder.
Yep.
I mean, Vanderbilt was rolling after that, and I think that explosive kind of took the life out of South Carolina in a way. And I think that's a big deal in itself, to note that it just takes a couple swing plays to win a game like this. And in the past, it's taken Vanderbilt being perfect to come here and win.
Right.
We watched Clarkley's presser this morning on the way here. From the last time they were here, he's talking about Ken Seals gives them the best chance to punt, and you'd rather punt it than turn it over. It feels like they've come a long way in that regard, and we've talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
But, man, what a night for Vanderbilt football. Again, I think it's better than the Auburn win last year, where they became bowl eligible. This is a better team. I think it's not quite at the level of the Alabama win, but how can you possibly say that Clarkley's had many better wins than this?
Right.
I don't know. I think this says a lot about the team he's got, and it says a lot about what they can do as well, which I think is why it's such a big deal.
Yeah, no question. And I mean, we just talked to Miles Capers in the press conference. He said that this win, now he's from Sumter, South Carolina, but he said this win is probably the top of his list for him. So
he had the strip sack against Alabama.
Exactly, yeah. He had the strip sack against Alabama, and he still put this one over the top as his number one favorite moment or favorite win as a Commodore, which is pretty interesting considering you beat number one Alabama. But still, yeah. Look, I mean, Vanderbilt, they got 2 games coming up here at home that are very easily winnable and should win, you would think. So they have a very great shot of going 5-0 to start October. I mean, I don't think anyone would have guessed that. I mean, it just shows how long or how far Vanderbilt has come over these past couple of years, and it is certainly special to see.
Sure. Graham, I'll close this like this. I believe that there is some sort of curse over Vanderbilt against South Carolina. I think a lot of you guys watching, over the years, you've come to believe the same thing. And a lot of those people watching have been around a lot longer than I have. They've been alive a lot longer. They've seen a lot more Vandy South Carolina games. You can't tell those people that there's no curse here.
Right.
What I will say is the curse didn't define this team. And I think that tells you a lot about this team, whether you believe in curses or things like that.
Yeah.
Everything seemed to go wrong for Vanderbilt against this opponent, especially in this place over the years. This team just comes in and says,
right,
let's just do it. And Jacob Ponio runs out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw the video I got. He's talking about how it's easy.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable to think about how nothing seems to faze this group. And they come in here and do their thing again. Another guy, to shout out Cedric Alexander, thought was good, but thought of him, she's the thumbnail of the column. So, Graham, I'll close this like this.
Yeah.
Maybe the curse is real. Maybe there's something in this rivalry that always tilted towards South Carolina. That doesn't matter to this team, though. And now this team's got bragging rights. It's ended the 16-game streak. You don't have to talk about 2008 anymore.
Right.
Obviously, Bobby Johnson will get his due, as he should. Graham, it's a new era. And,
it is.
I think tonight was kind of a microcosm of that.
Yep.
Subscribe to Vandy on SI.
Subscribe, please.
For the more Vanderbilt football content. We've been pumping it out this week, and even a basketball episode, which you don't want to hear about right now. But thank you guys for watching. For Graham Bacco, I'm Joey Dwyer. God bless. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.